Does the Republican Party have a problem when it comes to believing in science? Check out this exchange I had with Republican Congressional Leader Mike Pence of Indiana last night when I asked him about evolution. I think you believe in evolution, science, but you're afraid to say so because your conservative constituency might find that offensive.
No, I've said to you, Chris, I believe with all my heart that God created the heavens and the earth, the seas, and all that is in them. How he did that, I'll ask him about someday.
So are Republicans afraid to say they believe in things like evolution? Tom Tancredo is a former Republican congressman, of course, from Colorado, and of course a man who ran for president and delighted us in those debates. Mr. Tancredo, thank you, sir. You definitely were a lightning rod in the debates I was involved with. Well, thank you. Look, I don't want to get into religious tests.
It worries me a little bit.
Well, don't get too worried. You're at home here. You're in your mother's arms, sir. I think it's a strange thing.
Bless you, my son. Bless you.
Look, I don't want to get into religious tests. We all have our own doubts about religion, our own beliefs. Sometimes they're overlapping each other. Sometimes we believe things on different levels, and we sometimes have conflicts in what we believe and what we were taught in our religion. Most of us, I think, sort of believe that God created the earth. We have a belief in the deity. We also believe that somehow he did it through evolution. There was some kind of guidance to it from the beginning, certainly, and he knew what he was doing. He or she, if you want to get really broad-minded, knew what he was doing, and he did it his way. He didn't do it in 7 days like we were taught, but he did it his way. Is that sort of your belief? Just so we can get on common ground. And if it's not, you don't have to say yes, but...
Yeah, no, I do. I believe what you've just described, by the way, is something that we call intelligent design. And therefore, I'm not sure we have much of a debate. There's Darwinian evolution. There's intelligent design. That's the two conflicting points of view on this. And I suggest, Chris, that when you look at this very carefully, and believe me, I'm not a theologian, I'm not a scientist, I'm just a layman that looks at the evidence I have in front of me. And when you do look at it carefully, it does seem to me that the one is equal to the other in terms of the number of people who support it, in terms especially of their backgrounds, the research that's out there. It's not so clear-cut. You know, even Darwin said that in order to prove evolution, his kind of evolution, you would need literally thousands, maybe millions of fossils that were transitional. We should be able to find them. But of course, we haven't been able to find them. We can all believe, I certainly believe, that evolution occurs within species naturally. Human beings have grown taller over time. That's certainly true. But crossing a species, there is no evidence of that. You have to make an assumption. And I'm just saying that assuming that is just as tough as assuming that there's intelligent design.
Okay, let me talk to you about what I think are the extremes on this position. One extreme would be there is no God. It's all sort of random. We all ended up here. We don't even know why we're here, right? That would be a random, totally secular view of everything. I don't think you or I are at that end. The other end would be it's just like it's written down in the Bible. We don't have to figure out science. It's all there. And if you really get into the Bible and you're totally literal about it, I don't want to knock anybody's belief. You get to the point of having to deny all the fossils out there because they all predated 4,000 years of written history in the Bible, back to Adam and Eve, through the prophets all the way back. And then you get into that crazy idea, well, there's a bunch of liberals that went around and buried all these bones in the ground to make it look like there was ancient history. Well, I don't think most people believe that. I think most people accept the fact there were dinosaurs. They were around here millions of years ago. It wasn't covered in the Bible, et cetera, et cetera. So the question comes down to this, and this is why it's relevant to discussions of climate change. Do you accept the scientific method? Now, I went to a Catholic school, and the Christian brother taught us the first day. He said, now, you can believe in evolution or not. We believe it here. And from the beginning of the education we had in biology, you had the kingdoms, the classes, the families, the genuses, the species. It's the way you learned about life. And among the way you understood things was the families. And in the family were people, us, and also apes. Now, if you say there was no connection between the two ever in history, that there was never any evolution that led to the creation of you and me, that led to the creation, I accept the idea of guidance. And if you want to call it intelligent design, that's fine with me. But it ended up that way. If you don't accept the science, if you discover it, then you are really basing your whole life just on belief. And then you have a hard time dealing with a person like that when it comes to scientific evidence on climate change if they simply don't want to believe it because they don't want to look at evidence. Are you a person who believes in the scientific method? Did you study biology in school like I did, which is based on these assumptions of evolution?
You do well. Yes. Okay. Yes, I went to a Catholic school for 12 years. Yes, I had biology. Yes, first of all, let me go back a little bit earlier to the first part of your statement there about the time sequence and has it been... In intelligent design, there is no argument about whether the world was made 8,000 or 8 billion years ago. Nobody argues that. It could have been any of those things, and there's no religious dogma leading that particular discussion. It's not a part of intelligent design. And so I certainly can accept that. The fact is that when you think about, I mean, again, if you go back and assume that all of the, you got to start thinking about what was the beginning. And you can see on the micro level, we see evolution. But we cannot make the assumption on it about the macro level because there's nothing there to look at. We have no scientific data. You are absolutely right to say that we should use the scientific methods to make these kinds of decisions. But honest to God, Chris, there is no scientific data there. There's nothing there that we can look at to see that we've made this great leap. And so it's an assumption, just like it's an assumption about intelligent design. And I'm just saying to you that they're equally valuable. I think they should be taught in schools together. Here's a group of people, highly educated, well-rounded, and well-respected in their field who believe in evolution, Darwinian evolution. Here's a group of people, highly respected, who believe in intelligent design. These are two theories.
What's the difference?
We should present
I didn't think we'd get into this.
I would not be for...
Okay, what's the difference between saying you believe in evolution, but you believe God's behind it? What's the difference between that and intelligent design? You believe in evolution, but you believe God's behind it. So then you just have to have a little introduction to each chapter in a biology book that says God did this, God did this, God did this, and that's intelligent design. I mean, is that the distinction?
All you have to say, no, you don't have to call it God. You don't have to say anything. You just have to say that these people believe that there was something that designed all of this. You can call it God or,
I'm not going to fight with you on that, Congressman.
Whatever you want. But
I guess our distinction here is, are we willing to accept the scientific method if we discover these artifacts or these connections, the missing link is what it's always been called, that we're not going to just reject it and say that can't be because that runs in the face of my religion. Are we going to accept the fact that there could be climate change and man could be causing it, and we better damn well do some changes if that's the case? I mean, I think all I want is an understanding of how reasonable we're being and understanding the world that God gave us. That's all I'm asking. And you say we're all trying to understand it together.
That's a wonderful way to put it. The world that God gave us. All of us, I think, are looking exactly for that answer. And I mean, that understanding. And I appreciate the way you put it because, frankly, I don't think there's a heck of a lot of argument here. Although we've done a pretty good job for 7 minutes or so.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for coming on. I think we got way off the course of our secular beliefs, which I think I'd like to stick to. But I'm trying to figure out if we're going to ever understand this.
We'll do it again sometime.
Argument over climate change, unless we accept the fact that we're trying to get to truth and not simply always stepping back and saying, I'm skeptical of all this and just ending the conversation here. At some point, you have to have a method of understanding truth and make some assumptions or else you're stuck in the mud. Thank you, Tom Tancredo. Run for president again. We'll cover you. You're getting our debate.
Next time.